Today we're talking all about Sony's home field advantage.
No shame in what just happened. It's all part of the process. Let's go again.
Here are the 10 best PlayStation 5 exclusive games ranked. Number 10. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's hard to believe, but the Ratchet and Clank series is well into its double-digit entries at this point. Rift Apart didn't need much to do beyond deliver the wrench-smacking combat and large arsenal of quirky guns. Instead, Insomniac Games delivered on what might be the graphical showcase of the entire PlayStation 5 console, with wormholes throwing players into different dimensions, which might not sound that difficult, but when experienced, displays just how much of a difference the console's solid-state drive makes. The game itself is a well-made platformer, so don't assume this is all about the visuals, but man, Ratchet's fur has never looked so lush. Number 9. Gran Turismo 7. Racing games come in many varieties, from arcadey and crash-heavy to the more reserved and formal simulations like Sony's Gran Turismo series. It's not so much the franchise wants players to take cars seriously, far from it. The game certainly has a dry yet warm presentation to its menus, encouraging players to learn about the history of the automobiles while cozied up in the game's cafe. It's that devotion which has also created one of the most realistic car simulators of all time. Practicing the same curve for several dozen tries sounds like tedium incarnate, but Gran Turismo players will gladly spend the weekend doing just that. There's no other racer quite like it. Number 8. Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon Forbidden West is a bit of an odd choice for this list, and while we still firmly believe it belongs, viewers should know the game's story isn't, well, that good. Or at least it isn't very memorable, as even this humble narrator can't remember the plot despite completing the entire game. Where it does stand out is its gorgeous graphics, deep and rewarding hunting mechanics, and advanced travel system which sees protagonist Aloy take to the skies above. It's such a good PlayStation 5 game, it's surprising no one can remember the story. More like Forgotten West, am I right? Number 7. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You can learn a lot about a game by its criticism, and when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, that complaint was always, there's simply too much to do. After reliving the Midgard chapters of Final Fantasy VII Remake, players can now explore the greater world as Cloud and crew, following the tracks of the mysterious Sephiroth, all the while learning the complicated history of your allies, and an underlying meta theme which seems to be aware that this game is a remake. Rebirth is only the second of the planned trilogy, but given the sheer scope of places to explore, enemies to battle, and materia to gather, you'll have plenty to do before the final chapter arrives. Number 6. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Seems like everyone got sick of waiting for Assassin's Creed to finally make a feudal Japan version of their famous franchise, so Sony has gone and done it for them. Coming from Sly Cooper and infamous developers Sucker Punch, a Western studio at that, Ghost of Tsushima contains all of the elements one would expect of a Ronin samurai adventure. Artfully shooting arrows and deflecting swords, leaving a row of corpses is the expected result of each interaction, but Ghost of Tsushima's stealth gameplay is equally well done, and opens up a lot of approaches to side quests and enemy bases. Plus, you know, it's a knockout gorgeous game on the PlayStation 5 with a fully realized natural environment. That doesn't hurt either. Number 5. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. You know, this one might feel like cheating given both of the games in the Uncharted Legacy Thieves Collection launched on the PlayStation 4 and not the PlayStation 5, but it should be noted this collection and these enhanced versions of Uncharted 4 A Thief's End and Uncharted The Lost Legacy are exclusive to the PlayStation 5. It's likely you have seen much of Uncharted 4, which still has the best gameplay of the entire main series, but Lost Legacy deserves a lot more attention, as it fleshed out the Uncharted gameplay with a hub world, giving players more choice and agency. These are two fantastic games that have never looked and played better, and the only console to find these versions on is the PlayStation 5. Number 4. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Based on the obscure 20th century comic strip character by the same name, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 lives up to its name not only in being the second game by Insomniac, but also features two Spider-Men, Peter Parker and newcomer Miles Morales, as playable characters with their own custom skill trees. Everything from the first game has been enhanced thanks to the PlayStation 5. The restrictive triggers of the DualSense really help first-time players learn the timing of the game's surprisingly nuanced web-swinging system, and the combat and enemy types have been greatly expanded upon as well, resolving a lot of the first game's monotony. There's plenty to be said about the controversial story, which is far from perfect, but if you want to play as Spider-Man, there is no better game than Marvel's Spider-Man Spider-Man 2. Number 3, The Last of Us Part 1. To clear up any confusion, The Last of Us Part 1 is not the same game as 2013's The Last of Us, or its subsequent remaster for the PlayStation 4 in 2014, but it is a remake of that game, now utilizing the full power of the PlayStation 5. There can be debate on if a full remake was indeed warranted, but if you've never played The Last of Us, or only have seen the hit HBO series, this is the version to play, essentially replacing the original. You'll definitely want to play this on PlayStation 5 though, because the PC version didn't turn out great. Number 2, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. The Last of Us Part 2 resulted in a post-launch controversy most games simply could not inspire. The purpose of its narrative, the use of allegory, and exhaustive narrative have been hotly debated since the game first launched on the PlayStation 4. What has never been questioned is the game's standout visuals, now enhanced with ray tracing and a 4K resolution. There are few studios that can match up to Naughty Dog's graphics. It's the rare AAA game which has something to say. Just what it's saying, though, will be hotly debated for years to come. Number 1, God of War Ragnarok. You know, this was originally envisioned as the second game in a trilogy, but eventually directors Eric Williams and Cory Barlog decided to fold in the remaining ideas into one gigantic super game. Did it work? Well, would it be number 1 on our list if it didn't? God of War Ragnarok free flows effortlessly from one idea to the next, from combat to story beats and character moments. It's a game that multitasks narrative and gameplay. In short, it's the sort of project that simply couldn't be financed, let alone finished under most circumstances. But as an exclusive developed by Sony, Ragnarok's blockbuster presentation and pitch-perfect gameplay make it a must-play to anyone with a PlayStation 5. And there you have it, the 10 best PlayStation 5 exclusive games ranked. Chances are, if you've got PlayStation Plus, you may already have access to several of these games, and that list is always updating. So, for the latest news on PlayStation Plus and PlayStation 5, keep clicking around here on Game Rant, and we'll see you soon.